for joining BAFT's Fall Video Roundup. I'm pleased to be joined by Todd Burwell, President and CEO of BAFT. Over the next 10 minutes, we'll go over the top things you should be thinking about as members of BAFT. Todd, 2020 has certainly been a challenging year for all of us, but it's also shown the importance of our industry for the global community, the economy, and each of our healths. As the transaction bankers look to the final months of the year, what are the main issues and opportunities on the minds of industry's leaders?
Yeah, so thanks, Diana. When I speak to the senior transaction banking managers across the industry, we talk about what have they seen in 2020 and what are they looking forward to next year. This year has really been all about the safety of their employees, the resilience of their business, the sustainability of their client relationships. And I guess at the center of everything that they've done has been COVID-19 and how that's impacted their business and what changes they needed to make to respond to it. But for the most part, all of them have also told me that they haven't taken their eye off of their day-to-day business and the blocking and tackling that they need to do for their clients to provide liquidity, to make payments, to support trade, and so forth. There's been an acceleration of digitization throughout the course of this year, and that also has been connected to the pandemic. So that's also part of the good news story, I guess, for transaction banking this year. And the expectation is that that will carry through into 2021. So when we talk about next year and what they're anticipating, I think there's definitely some concern that the economic headwinds are going to be significant. The low interest rate environment, the low economic activity, all of these things are putting pressure on trying to keep the health crisis that became an economic crisis, trying to keep that from becoming a credit crisis.
The ability of our bankers to be nimble is certainly a priority, and they're really looking to us as their industry association for some leadership. So what can our members expect from BAFT in terms of key priorities moving forward?
Yeah, so again, during this year, we tried to provide some timely information, things around force majeure and the applicability of that during the pandemic. We had some roundtables this year to bring the community together to talk about their back to office strategies and so forth. But similarly, we've also been focused on the blocking and tackling of the same issues that we were focused on before the pandemic. And so as we think about 2021, our focus is primarily around issues relating to the transition from LIBOR, which needs to happen by the end of next year. We've had a working group focused on that, and we've been working with the Federal Reserve specifically on alternative reference rates and how that's going to need to support the trade business. We'll have a continued focus on anti-money laundering, de-risking, trade-based money laundering, the whole financial crime agenda, which never seems to go away, but certainly has also come back into focus during the pandemic. We're going to ramp up our trade digitization support with focus on electronic documentation and ensuring that the legal and regulatory framework is in place to support that. But one thing that we did this year is we launched our Global Payments Industry Council, which is a senior leadership council focused on payments-related issues. We expect that group to ramp up to full speed into 2021 with a focus on faster payments, interoperability, implementation of ISO 20022, variations in regulations for banks and non-banks doing payments. We also launched our Africa Council this year, and we expect that council to sort of hit full speed in 2021, where we can focus on issues specifically in sub-Saharan Africa. Of course, the Basel implementation that was delayed will continue to move forward in 2021. And we're also now just about to launch our class of 2021 future leaders. So we're looking forward to that.
Certainly one of the things that our members routinely tell us is valuable is the global community that BAFT is able to foster. Going into our 100th year, can you talk to us a little bit about what our kind of how BAFT is being nimble, how we're transitioning with in-person events and gatherings limited or canceled for the year. How has BAFT innovated and adapted to continue to foster that oh so critical sense of community?
Yeah. So I guess like everyone else, we've become heavily dependent on Zoom, and Zoom has been an important platform for us in supporting our board of directors meetings, our regional council meetings, our committee meetings, our policy and advocacy meetings, and the rest of that. As far as our events are concerned, we've realized that there's nothing like uh, bringing the community together. So when you have a pandemic and you can't physically be there, these technology platforms have been absolutely crucial for us to be able to keep our community together. Now, a couple of observations. Number one is by providing digital content, we've also been able to reach a broader community because then people are no longer restricted by their ability to travel to a location. So we've seen the attendance at our virtual events far beyond what we've seen at our in-person events. We've actually had over 5,000 people register for our virtual events since March. We have integrated some networking into the platforms. So we've had the benefit of both broader geographic diversity at some of our programs and the ability for people to network, albeit virtually. We've introduced some new programs such as our Crystal Ball series. And of course, we've got our international convention that will be coming up this month, where we're looking forward to bringing the community together again.
Touched on this a bit, but are there new offerings that have been made available due to our transition to digital content provision?
Sure. So I referred to the Crystal Ball series. That's one. It's been interesting because several of those forward-looking programs have been centered around what's been the impact of the pandemic on the corporate sectors that the banks support. And therefore, the banks get a firsthand view of what those industries are going through and how they need to respond to them. We're also launching and have launched some on-demand training and education programs. So we're super excited about launching our certificate in introductory transaction banking, which actually the idea came out of our Future Leaders group a couple of years ago. We're excited to be able to offer that. And we're also launching a transaction risk for trade professionals. These are on-demand programs. So again, while people are somewhat locked down in a location, they can still get education from BAFT.
Advocacy remains a key pillar of BAFT's work. Has the COVID-19 pandemic changed the way BAFT conducts its advocacy?
So it's by definition, we've had to change how we do it. But what we have been advocating for has been very consistent. So we've continued to push the LIBOR transition. We've been very successful in doing advocacy around supply chain finance and have some engagement with both the FASB and the IFRS, and we think that's headed towards a good outcome. We've had several legislative meetings on AML and remittances. Certainly our comment letters, which were done in written form anyway, we've continued to be able to do that. So the trick has really been, how do we actually engage with the regulators? And again, I think being able to leverage the Zoom platform has been helpful because it's enabled us to stay connected. Now, of course, we still miss and we still want to be able to go and have these meetings in person, and we're looking forward to that. But for now, we'll continue to use Zoom to help deliver our messaging to regulators and to engage with them.
It's clear that there's a lot going on with BAFT, certainly more that can be covered in this short video. What can members do to take advantage of all of the opportunities to learn, to collaborate, and to influence the direction of the industry?
Yeah, so again, I encourage all of our members to, number one, stay aware of the different webinars that we're doing, the virtual forums that we're doing, the training and education programs. You can find this information out through the member update that goes directly out to our members. You can find it out through the BAFT website. There's been at least 2 or 3 programs that we have been delivering every single month since the pandemic has come on board. Secondly, each one of our regional councils in Asia, in MENA, in Sub-Saharan Africa, Europe, North America, they all have various work streams that are trying to address the issues that are very important to institutions in those regions. So we really encourage our members, if they haven't before, to get involved with their local committees, councils, join some of the many working groups that BAFT has trying to address some of these issues. And again, we encourage you to attend our virtual forums and conferences. There is a pretty neat ability of some of these platforms to allow individuals to have one-on-one conversations or 1 to several conversations within the platforms. It's not just a one-way webinar. So we really look forward to them joining us at our international convention and some of our other virtual conferences.
Thank you, Todd, and thank you all for tuning in to BAFT's Fall Video Roundup.